Welcome to our program, Psychological Studies. Today, the third module, Plenitude. Let's reflect together, as learners as we all are, about this subject. Throughout time, different philosophers, different religions established that life is about suffering, and any attempt to free from it would result in regrettable failure. Surely, suffering is part of life, a natural mechanism in which the intellectual moral progress is consolidated. On the other hand, suffering is linked to the sensibility of each individual, because we are all unique individuals in the universe, and consequently experience suffering in different, unique ways. From Krishna to Buddha, to Jesus, to Allan Kardec, the religious and philosophical view about suffering received valuable contributions, which today, with the efforts of the modern scientists of holistic health, seems to reach a higher degree of understanding about the human being and their relationship with the forces of nature, reaching a broader comprehension about life and its objectives. What is our understanding about life? What is our understanding about the objectives of life? The enlightened spirits are inviting men and women to respect God, to respect themselves, and respect others and all expressions of life, in order to learn to be happy, and therefore achieving their fullness, their wholeness, plenitude. They also invite men and women to the self-discovery process, the awakening towards the practice of goodness, the lucid behavior followed by the studies and the illuminated actions in the pathway of fraternal love. We are all invited by the enlightened spirits, the good beings in the universe who are helping humanity to evolve, to progress, to free from their sufferings. Vital to understand that pain is not punishment. It reveals an excellent mechanism of life working towards life itself. The spirit in itself is always responsible for its sufferings, for its pains, consciously or not. Only when the spirit resolves to work towards inner harmony will he, will she conquer inner peace. The suffering can be considered an illness of the soul, who still is attached to the sensations and chooses the directions and actions which produces disturbances and conflicts. The choice is ours. In this phase of the personal interests, all the primitive passions propel the individual towards the pleasure, without the necessary ethics or the superior ability to choose, drones them into conflicts, which disharmonizes the organic defenses, allowing the invasion of microbes and viruses, which destroy the immune system. In the same way, the hypersensible mental structure disorganizes, opening field to install the alienations and the cruel obsessions. Therefore, it is vital to say that suffering is not imposed by God, not at all. It is the choice of each person due to the intensity and duration, being directly related to the level of evolution due to the moral resistances which characterizes their spiritual progress. Are we aware what is our level of evolution on the moral ethical level, considering too the intellectual, but we are focusing pretty much on the moral, which refers to the emotional. The reactions of hate, violence, and rebelliousness towards suffering expands it. The dynamic resignation, that is, accepting the problem with a courageous attitude, facing it, and removing the causes, represents an advanced way towards the solution. We are responsible for ourselves. Therefore, we are responsible for our problems, and we are also responsible for the solution of our problems, which depends pretty much on ourselves, on our inner decision to look within, to journey within, in a loving, accepting, respectful way. Developing mental and moral equilibrium is a significant positive attitude which can be achieved through training, meditation, and prayer, which we all can learn. Therefore, illuminating our minds, illuminating our hearts. Vital to understand that suffering and love are mechanisms of evolution. When one is absent, the other is present. Which one is present in the moment in our minds? Which one do we prefer to prioritize as mechanisms of learning, of evolution? Bear in mind that illness is the result of the energetic disequilibrium of the body, a consequence of the emotional fragility of the spirit who activates it. We activate it through our way of thinking and feeling. Quite often, the traditional therapies remove the symptoms without tackling the roots of the causes. The symptoms are treated on the physiological level, on the biological level. The causes need to be treated on the spiritual body, on the perispirit. And therefore, there is a special ways, which means activating our psychological and emotional resources that we, through self-knowledge, use in our favor, the conditioning the old habits, conditioning the new ones. People live on earth under the action of fears, such as illnesses, poverty, loneliness, lack of love, failure, and death. This behavior is the result of the lack of experience or preparation for the normal life experiences necessary for our evolution. How can we evolve without facing and going through different experiences in life in order to get experience from? Challenging moments are excellent opportunities for our learning, are excellent opportunities for us to expand our conscious minds, for us to increase self-awareness as learners as we all are. The education referred to the moral ethical values, which stimulate the conscientiousness of duty and responsibility towards oneself, others, and life, promotes emotional health and spiritual value for a balanced transit through the physical experiences, through the physical existence. Bear in mind that we are immortal beings. We are just temporarily on earth, temporarily expressing ourselves through the physical body. But we are immortal beings, learners within the universe. Each person lives within their own conscience is structured by them. Love is the attitude for all the causes of sufferings, for it proceeds from the divine psyche, which sustains life in all its expressions. The real cure only happens if the therapy extirpates the causes. The causes of sufferings. They are based on our negative belief systems or negative emotions, which the real love, which comes from God, activated by us as we carry it within, will be the major therapy that we can apply to us. It is learning to love ourselves, to love others, to love life, and therefore engaging in this healing process where we are the authors of our own health or illness, of our well-being or not. To educate the mind, discipline the willpower, are the first steps to eradicate causes of the afflictions. Bring responsibility in the present, exercising new, healthy behaviors, attitudes, actions, according to the proposal of Jesus, generating states of happiness in the present and future. Understanding that responsibility is autonomy of choosing what is good for us, what is good for others, what is good today, what will be good for tomorrow. As we are immortal beings, no one will die, we carry on in the way that we are today. And we bring the power within to actualize ourselves, to build in the present, and therefore in the future, conditions which reflect psychological, emotional health, and therefore biological health. That is to say, integral health. Jesus considered love as the unique cause for the self-realization process. We are essentially beings of goodness, all of us. The noble sentiments which are not stimulated towards the action level become weak, almost disappear. In that way, kindness grows in exercising it, consolidating habits, or disappears through lack of practice. Let's practice goodness. Let's exercise goodness, that it becomes a habit, a natural habit, which is part of our sacred nature, which we are or can choose to stimulate on a daily basis. Choose to act or not with kindness is a mental attitude, and produce goodness is from the heart. Activate our minds, activate our hearts in exercising towards goodness for all. Love is a sign of moral health, and who have it eliminates the conflicting habits that causes suffering. No one loves and stays inert. Love is action in goodness towards everyone. Love is movement, is through this exercising of new behaviors, new actions in goodness, that we are circulating our own psychic energy, cleansing it, healing it, and elevating us. Life always responds according to our aspirations, and the consequences are the results of our use of free will. How are we using our free will? Responsibly, then we are working towards real integral health. If we are using our free will irresponsibly, we are causing sufferings and pains temporarily. As we are all evolving, sooner or later we will change. But let's do this today. It is fundamental to engage in the process to overcome our illusions, as they impede the spirit to progress. We could easily say in our reflections that sufferings and pain, they are the consequences of our illusions that we hold in relation to ourselves, in relation to others, in relation to life. Let's change them. Let's actualize ourselves. And we can feel in the present the lightness of our hearts and minds. The ethic of generosity centralizes the attention in the natural law, or the law of love, which respects life in all senses and helps all brothers and sisters in humanity. Generosity. To be generous, to helping brothers and sisters in humanity, in different cultures, different belief systems, means opening our hearts, training it in loving. Love can be learned through exercising it, to practice it. Courage is a moral ethical value which helps us to face reality and persevere in our learning, regenerating process. Vital, never give up. Always persist in exercising goodness unconditionally. Remember what we mentioned at the beginning of our reflections. We are essentially beings of love. We carry the seeds of the unconditional love within us since our creation. We need to choose now to stimulate that superior faculty. We all can do that. The effort well directed in becoming an altruistic person characterizes the individual level of evolution, demonstrating the achievements that each one conquered so far. Where are we with our capacities of altruism? We are all different, it's true. We are all evolving, it's true, but in different ways, in different levels. Are we choosing to develop real altruism? To do good for the sake of goodness, not to be recognized by what we do? Do we feel motivated to engage in causes of goodness? Do we feel pleasure in doing that from the self level onwards, unconditionally? It is not possible to develop altruism without constant efforts, exercises of humbleness, honesty, kindness, responsibility, and determination in actualizing ourselves, developing real goodness, actions, behaviors on our mental state, or emotional state, or action level, externalizing it through our unique way of being, cooperating in goodness for all, coming together, uniting us as an universal family. Do we feel that we are brothers and sisters in humanity? That we are all children of God? that we are all members of the same universal family? Let's expand our hearts and minds and exercise it towards real love. To develop altruism, it is vital to concentrate on it. Otherwise, the mind can easily divert towards the unconscious, pessimistic, negative behaviors, demotivating instead of motivating the learning process. It's vital that we are conscious in our daily basis, motivate ourselves in becoming better today than yesterday, and tomorrow better than today. Actualizing willingly towards goodness, because doing good, being good, is good for us, is healing us. As immortal beings, through self-knowledge, it is fundamental to search for the profound internal real necessities of life, without any attachment to the ego's needs. Do we know what our ego's needs are? Are we ready to face them? First step is to learn to conquer a state of inner peace, so to go through the experiences without attachment. Do we know that no one belongs to us? Nothing belongs to us on earth as immortal beings? We are living amongst each other in the family setting, in the professional level, in a community, in a society, as brothers and sisters in humanity, learning to develop real love, learning to respect each other, learning to live fraternally according to the natural laws of life, and that represents integral health. An aspect of the integral being which brings wholeness. Self-knowledge helps us to discern what is useful or superfluous, indispensable or secondary, considering a happy life as immortal beings. What is useful or superfluous to me today as immortal being? Bear in mind that nothing belongs to me, that no one belongs to me. The secondary, dispensable values become heavy emotional experiences, which favors preoccupation and therefore deviates the mind from the healthy aims to achieve. What are our goals in life? Where are they focused? On a materialistic existence, or within a materialistic experience, developing myself as immortal being? Focus on our hearts, on our emotional dimension. We will learn the responses where we find ourselves today, which are real feedbacks that we can listen our nature and also engage in the changing process spontaneously. To integral health, inner peace, interior happiness result from mental lucidity, where we choose the correct actions, behaviors, promoting an existence of self-realization and self-fulfillment. Are we lucid in our minds? Or are we confused, disturbed? And if so, what are we doing to become lucid, clear? It can be learned. Charity is love in its most elevated expression. In order to be real, it demands self-illumination, promoting a constant inner transformation, which favors abnegation and victory towards our primitive tendencies. Are we willing to engage in this proposal? We are all learners. We are all within a process of transformation, of regeneration, of actualization. And we can do that on daily basis. Observing what we think, what is negative, is not good for us, is not good for others. Let's address it and actualize it, feeding us with new belief systems based on goodness for us, for others. That is the right way forward. Through this practice, we are developing our emotional intelligence, which is a blessing for us and others, as it dignifies, promotes and helps us to overcome our shadows. It requires constant spiritual attention, dedication, and willingness to be better today than yesterday, and tomorrow better than today. That is, investing in us and developing integral health. To conduct our lives wisely is a technique of preventive therapy, as much as the cure from our sufferings. The one who doesn't act wrongly doesn't need to repeat the experience, redo the pathway. The one who acts correctly, lives correctly, doesn't hide behind mistakes, depression, neither shows off. Where are we? Let's ask ourselves sincerely. On the other hand, those who are stagnated in their evolution process, when presented with proposals for emotional change, they negate, avoid the efforts due to the procrastination, moral laziness, and irresponsibility, even if their state already is felt with great uneasiness, inner discomfort, inner disturbances. In order to advance, it is necessary to face the automatic vicious habits, training the willpower and directing, educating our psychic energies. We all are able to do it. When the mind focuses on noble purpose, it numbs the sensations of our conflicts and illnesses, stimulating the development of harmony, which we conquer through efforts wisely applied. Wisely applied means it's not what I want all the time. It's about choosing to do what I need to do in order to build internal peace, internal harmony. To free myself from the negative mental and emotional states of mind, choosing to do good, choosing to be good for myself and others, as mentioned previously. Understanding that concentration is the mental focus on our goals, holding it throughout repetition. Learning is a process where we repeat the new ways of being, in a loving way, in a compassionate way. To meditate is to apply concentration in search of God, internally, with determination and constancy. Are we able already to focus within us, to meditate, to search the divine within? We are all children of God. We have been created by God, and we bring God's laws within us. All love proceeds from God, the cause of great power. Therefore, our mental synchrony with the divine power, which is love, is necessary to improve our health, to harmonize ourselves. God is love. is the infinite resource of love, of health, of goodness for all of us. Prayer is another method by which we can develop our mental synchrony with God. There is no correct way of praying. Let's connect with the heart and let's talk to God in our unique way. A very powerful tool available to all. When someone elevates itself towards God, elevates humanity. God loves us all. Beings from different cultures, different religion belief systems, different path of evolution. We are all loved by God. Let's talk about obsession and disobsession. From a spiritist perspective, obsession is a mental alienation due to the interference of a psychic presence from a disincarnate being. We mentioned previously that we are immortal beings, so we don't die. We just free ourselves from the physical body and we carry on alive. And those who haven't learned to forgive, those who haven't learned to practice goodness within and with others, they may temporarily communicate psychically with other beings through their unique way of being. The obsession could influence negatively our mental, emotional, and physical health. Spiritism deals with the causes, analyzes the problem, and clarifies that the roots of these issues are based on our previous immoral, unethical behaviors and attitudes. Previous could be from this existence or from previous existences, as we bring all the experiences that we went through on our unconscious mind or on the perispirit, which expresses through the physical way of being today. Obsession is a serious illness in form of depressive inspirations, extended to the biological health. In the repetition of negative mental and emotional interference, the dominated spirit can interfere in the culpable minds that submit themselves. This process can be nominated by scientists as schizophrenia, psychosis, chronic depression, fatigue, and so on. It is literally a psychic vampirization. We become devitalized. All forms of obsessions result from the intrapersonal relationship. Sources of aggressiveness, hate, betrayal, crime, or the expressions of unbalanced, unhealthy love, which affect the emotional dimension. The disobsession consists in interrupting the process of psychic influence, whereby both unhappy beings are involved. We are all responsible for our own lives. Only occur obsessions, sufferings, because people choose the ill behaviors, attitudes, instead of choosing behaviors of a good person. Dissolving the intoxicating patterns of evil through self-education, we can all learn to re-educate our belief systems, to re-educate our emotions. With the powerful energies of love consists the self-disobsessive therapy, which frees the person from this suffering. Therefore, eradicating the causes and favoring integral health, resulting from a harmonious mind in relation to life. A physical body in equilibrium and the emotion together with reason directed towards goodness, towards progress, towards real happiness. We free ourselves through training or emotion or reason towards what is good as immortal beings, not as incarnate beings only. Apart from many different therapies available, the spiritist science, recognizing that every suffering results from the irresponsible use of the individual's free will, teaches that in the reconstruction of the moral ethical values lies the essential mechanism of inner liberation and integral health. We are capable of engaging in this deep, profound proposal of inner liberation. In choosing the pathway of charity, that is, practicing benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness all the time, we are transforming us in beings with more tolerance, fraternity, respect, brotherhood, and love. Consequently, in developing self-control, we re-educate ourselves, bringing meaning to our lives, in living profound experiences which last in the present and in the future. Profound experiences can only happen if we are honest, if we are humble, if we sincerely do good for the simple reason of doing good without expecting any reward or any recognition. As immortal beings, we are essentially beings of goodness, beings of light, beings of love. Let's stimulate those resources through the proposal of self-renewal with Jesus. His proposal is healing, soothing, calming, pleasing. Reflects in tenderness, gentleness, loveliness. Let's try. We all can do it, and we all will benefit from it. Much love to all. See you soon.